All right, Brinson, how'd the Chiefs do it?
I saw this from Adam Chernoff, and I was looking to confirm it, but I mean, I think my eyeballs confirm the generality of it. The Ravens had 3 runs to running backs after the first quarter. They passed on every down. I think Todd Monken has been a revelation for the Baltimore Ravens in that offense, and Lamar Jackson. His coaching helped Lamar Jackson improve as a passer. And I think Lamar was always a good passer, but I think that it helped him flourish as a passer and shut the idiot haters up who said that Lamar wasn't good. Like, he's a running back, plays quarterback, all that crap. I don't think this is about Lamar in a playoff game. That's a narrative that gets bandied about way too much. But, man, the game plan for the Ravens against this Chiefs defense was just not very good. And it was asking Lamar to sit in the pocket and throw way, way too much. He had 37 passing attempts for 272 yards, completed 20 of them. There were so many times it felt like if Lamar didn't try to get through his second, third, fourth read, whatever it was, and just took off, he would have tons of – it felt like he could have run for 250 yards today. And I'm not saying that should have been the game plan coming in, but the game plan should have been to pound the rock against Kansas City, to run the ball against them, and to force Mahomes into being one-dimensional. Mahomes, and look, there wasn't a touchdown scored after the 10-minute mark of the second quarter in this game. Both defense stepped up in a huge way. Mahomes, those first 2 touchdown drives, was magnificent. That was F you for making me a dog. I'll win on the road, Mahomes. He started 11 of 11. He was incredible. But then the Ravens defense adjusted. They completely shut down the Chiefs. And if you hold Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes to 17 points in the AFC Championship game, you need to win that game. And the Ravens should have scored more than 10. They had some bad luck too. The Zay Flowers stuff. We'll get to that in a minute. But I thought the game plan in general from Baltimore on offense was very poor, and it didn't adjust. They didn't adjust at all. It didn't change, and that was the difference for me in this game.
Yeah, I'll say if I could have a GOAT of the game, as in the person who I would blame it on, not
greatest of all time,
not greatest of all time. It's so confusing nowadays. It would be Todd Monken. I cannot believe that you have the number 1 rushing attack in the NFL. And if you watched any film from the Bills-Chiefs game last week, which I'm assuming he did, the Bills ran for like 180 yards. If there is one thing you can absolutely do on the Chiefs defense, it is run the ball. And to Brinson's point, the Gus Edwards, first carry of the game, goes for 15 yards. You would think, hey, 1 carry for 15 yards, that's pretty solid. Let's give him the ball. Let's feed him and see what happens. He got 2 more carries the rest of the game. That's it. They didn't even, if this game was 31-10 or something like that, where it necessitates you getting out of your game plan and throwing the ball, that's one thing. I would get that. But this is 17-10. It was a 1-score game for a good chunk of the 4
quarters. Running back carries.
I mean, and even when you're down 17-7, you're still in a spot where you stick to your game plan. You don't get crazy and throw the ball 37 times with Lamar Jackson. That's not how this offense is designed to run. It's not what Todd Monken did the whole year. So it was just mind-blowing that they called the offense like that. Now, to the Lamar Jackson thing, you can definitely pin some of this blame on Lamar. Todd Monken is the number 1 guy on that offense I would blame.
Is it Monken or Monken?
We're going to get a recording and press it every time I. But look, Lamar had a horrible interception in the end zone. You can't take that away. There's the strip sack. So he had 2 key turnovers. And when you look at what Lamar Jackson has done, that's 3 of his 5 playoff games where he's had multiple turnovers. So I don't think it's unfair to say he struggles in the playoffs because this is a struggle. He's been in 4 playoff games where he scored 10 points, 3 points, 12 points, 17 points. I think this is the 3rd time where the Ravens' lowest scoring total of the season came in a playoff game. Why doesn't this offense work in the playoffs? Like, what's the explanation for that? Is it because the offensive coordinator decides to go rogue and, you know what, let's just try a completely new game plan that we don't even know if our offense can do. Let's just do it. And, you know, like the Lions, there were some drop passes here but it just, this offense wasn't going to work the way it was run today. I don't know what they were doing. It just didn't make any sense, Wilson.
So it is a perplexing development, no doubt about it. So as we go through their regular season, they had 11 wins against teams with 500 or better record. That's incredibly impressive. And they were just smashing teams. They beat Detroit 38-6. They beat Seattle 37-3. The Rams was a little closer, but they scored 37-31. Jacksonville 23-7. The 49ers and Miami in back-to-back weeks blow their doors out, 33 points and 56 points respectively. And then a 10-burger at home in their first AFC Championship game. They rolled out T. Sizzle. They rolled out Ray Lewis. Those guys, I would say they need them, but the defense actually played incredibly well in the second half. I think Mike McDonald, he's got an interview, I think, scheduled for tomorrow, reportedly. That was the best resume builder you could put out there, that second half performance against one of the most one of the best offenses, at least in the playoffs, because I've been crushing this offense in the regular season.
Mike McDonald and Ben Johnson it sucks because their team, you lose in the championship game and you're probably losing like 2 of your most important coordinators.
Yeah, it happened to Debo's Eagles and they turned out fine. So I'm sure that these teams will be okay. Sorry about that.
I noticed somebody in the chat was lamenting the lack of credit we gave to the Chiefs defense. Chiefs defense was awesome. Chiefs defense played really well.
We just started the conversation. We'll get there.
I know. I was just putting it out there.
Yeah. No, I'll start here. Charles Omenihu went out, and to both your points, one of your best, well, your interior defensive lineman that certainly helps out. Chris Jones is your dude. Run the ball. Why aren't you running the ball? And by the way, when Isaiah Pacheco is running the ball 24 times and he only got 2.8 yards per carry, but the point is that they didn't go away from the run. And when you're having a conversation, 2024 Andy Reid's certainly different, but where Andy Reid is more committed to the run than you are, you need to take a long, hard look in the mirror about what you're doing and why you're doing it, because it just doesn't add up. The other thing they didn't have Willie Gay. He was out. He was going to be the spy for Lamar Jackson, which again goes to the point, hey, let Lamar run a little more. It was Leo Chenal. Leo Chenal missed a sack early on, I believe. And he's certainly not the athlete that Willie Gay is. And L'Jarius Sneed balled out. Deion Bush had the interception on the triple team that Breach mentioned earlier. Trent McDuffie is one of the best young players in the NFL.
And Sneed forced the fumble in the end zone, right, with Zay Flowers?
You know,
after Zay Flowers got the penalty for taunting him on that.
After Lamar Jackson underthrew him for what could have been a touchdown.
Yeah. The only way that turnover would have been better if it had been Mecole Hardman who punched the ball out, but it was not. He fumbled last week.
A crazy turn of events.
Tony?
No, Mecole fumbled last week at the Bills game.
And that was, the whole thing with the Zay Flowers taunting, it is what it is, because in the end, it didn't matter because they got back down to the 1 yard line. What mattered is that he fumbled the ball at the 1, and that's the thing that cost them, not the taunting. So,
and then Breach, he was so angry
either
with
way,
himself.
it was his fault.
He was so angry with himself that he went to the sideline and tore his hand up, banging the ground.
So the 5 is a 10-minute span for, and I appreciate the retweet, Breach. I noticed that. Breach bump. The 10-minute span for Zay Flowers, he catches this long pass, does like 7 crazy moves, and Zay Flowers is going to be awesome. He's a great player. Incredible rookie season. The 2 teams who lost, by the way, in the championship games had, a lot of rookie contributors, or at least, on offense, and the Lions with Laporta and Jahmyr Gibbs. But some rookie moments. He stands over L'Jarius Sneed, pushes L'Jarius Sneed to the ground, stands over him, throws the ball down. Of course they're going to call taunting there. And I agree, Breach. It didn't matter technically because immediately after he got a 14-yard completion that sort of wiped it out. But, would have been nice to have that for a touchdown. Then Rashad Bateman maybe had to catch it between there. And then he gets down to the 1. But as he's diving in, L'Jarius Sneed comes flying out of nowhere and hits the ball and knocks it out. And I'm not saying that L'Jarius Sneed was more motivated to create a turnover because of the taunting, but this was a rookie mistake and a foolish move by Zay Flowers that sort of felt like it in a similar vein to Dan Campbell's 4th and 2 decision or 4th down decision making. It felt like because of when it happened and what happened afterwards, that it sort of spurred on the opponent, and or was just like, well, it was just that sort of pivotal moment that kind of felt like it changed things.
Yeah, and then because it's 17-7 at that point. If you score a touchdown there and it's 17-14, it's a completely different game. And again, I mean, even the very next possession was the Lamar interception in the end zone. And once again, you just can't do that. And the reason it's not, look, the throw was horrible. You can't throw into triple coverage. That's one thing, but there's no need to take that risk because a field goal cuts it to one score. You just have to get something. There was no reason to throw a ball with three guys over your receiver. That is what it comes down to, is that you cannot make a decision like that in the fourth quarter of a game that you are trailing by double digits when a field goal will cut it to one score. And that it was that kind of
on that play. I don't even think Nancy and Romo talked about this, but they showed a replay that was from the end zone looking back towards the quarterback.
If Lamar would have put a little more mustard on it, it might have
a little more mustard, but likely also threw up his hand as soon as he got released. And you're like, when you see it from that angle, you're like, oh, he's in single coverage, running up a seam, and there's like two defenders converge there. I agree with you. You have to get a field goal there. It changes the complete dynamics of the game.
What, Breach? Go ahead.
And real quick, because the drive before, so you had the interception, you had the fumble, those were both in the fourth quarter. The drive before that, they punted from Kansas City's territory, and that was one where they had the ball at the 40-yard line. So you're on the edge of Justin Tucker field goal range, and Lamar gets sacked for an 8-yard loss. And that's another one of those where you cannot take a sack in that situation because now you're from fringe field goal range to you have to punt. And again, a field goal would have been such a big thing to get in either of those instances. And obviously a touchdown would be huge in the Zay Flowers instance. So you gave away 3 points with the interception. Zay Flowers gave away 7 with the fumble. And then you possibly gave away 3 points with the sack on the punt. That's 13 points in a game where there were only 30 total points.
It's very Lions-esque if you do the negative math. By the way, in the interception, Lamar talked about it in the press conference. He was asked about it. And he said he saw Tampa 2, so 2 deep safeties and a middle linebacker running deep. And he basically said what you guys talked about. He tried to throw it and give Likely a chance, but he didn't put enough mustard on it. And he said, you can't make the mistake. But he knew what he saw. He just didn't make the play happen.
And fun fact real quick. Chiefs were the first team since your Steelers in 2010, Ryan, to win an AFC championship without scoring a single point in the second half.